We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pitch Live syndicated and reality broadcast powered by Innovate Globally, known as IGLY. I'm your host, Shelon Douglas, and we're streaming to you live at latalklive.com, bringing real talk over the internet and smartphones to startups within the fields of technology, education, entertainment, and the media industries. Thank you so much for tuning in with us live, where we broadcast every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific to discuss topics that are relevant within the tech industry from some of the most successful and prestigious industry experts, entrepreneurs, and investors. Also, Pitch Live wants to cater to tech startups for a chance to demo their digital products right here live on air for a chance to win big, y'all. At the second part of every show, 6 startups will have the opportunity to pitch live of their startup product or idea before a panel of judges who will then make a decision on the top 2 pitches being presented. But wait, because it doesn't end there. You, as our audience, will have the opportunity to have a say in who you feel presented the best pitch. So pretty much basically whatever our judges decide here in the studio, you as our audience have the opportunity to overturn or overrule the judge's position. So be sure to tune in every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. so that you could take part of the decision making there. Finalists and winners gain access to some of IGLY's best and greatest steamy resources, technology services, exposure, brand awareness, capital funding, and here's a big one, an opportunity to work with one of Innovate Globally's team of developers, designers, innovators that will work with you to plan, execute, validate, and deploy your minimum viable product that will be built to scale and accelerate. Your digital business models can be submitted by the end of this month for an opportunity to be selected for the month of November around digital products such as mobile and web applications that are catered to the field of technology, which submissions right now are open, but you have only until October 30th, and you can do this located on our website at www.pitchlivetowin.com. For more information and the details on how to participate, please submit and be selected to Pitch Live to Win on air and gain access to these endless list of opportunities that's offered right here on Pitch Live. Also, we need your support. Innovate South LA is bringing Silicon Valley to LA Southwest College. By voting for the launch of its new program, Innovate 8, we need you to go in and make sure you select to vote for our program coming to LA Southwest starting, I believe it's next summer. That's supposed to be, the program is supposed to be launching. So nevertheless, LA Southwest College Foundation's mission is here to improve the community's success by supporting indigenous innovation, providing access to quality education, and link students to the jobs in the growth industries and entrepreneurial opportunities right here in South LA. Also, the LASC, or Los Angeles Southwest College Foundation, has partnered with Innovate Globally to create a synergistic program that accomplishes the following 3 goals. They are to educate our students and South Los Angeles residents on the highly marketable skill of coding, support business entrepreneurship by providing students and community members with the soups to nuts business instruction and industry exposure for tech-related startups, and finally, ultimately to create a sustainable innovation ecosystem that will encourage indigenous creativity. So be sure to get out and vote, y'all. We really need your support. Tonight's show is featured on part 2 of Mastering Disruption in the World of Media and Entertainment, where we'll get into some of the discussions on the ways in which new technologies are disrupting and impacting the media and entertainment industries. Consumers are using a greater number of devices nowadays and through an omni-channel experience. to get the content they want, allowing them the freedom to be entertained whenever, wherever, and however they wish through media and entertainment industries. This is a huge challenge, y'all, and we're here to talk about that tonight with our special guest that is in the house for the second time. I thank them so much for coming back to do part 2. And who I have with me again as a quick little short introduction is Carl Dawson, Craig Mitchell, and Charles Hollis. They will share with us their experience around this special topic going into part 2 and give us some great information surrounding this featured topic of this evening. Before we get into that, we'd like to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will definitely dive right back into our conversation that we had the first time. And make sure, too, there is an opportunity for you as our listeners and viewers to call in and partake of the conversation. And we'll have that information up here shortly for you when we come back from commercial. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's fun to think about coming up with these kinds of things, coming up with the idea.
Do what you love best.
Coding. A parkour game.
Make beats.
Make my own website.
The design.
Use Photoshop to
Follow your own ideas.
Powered by Innovate Globally.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back, y'all, to Pitch Live, streaming live at latalklive.com. I'm your host, Shelon Douglas, where tonight's topic is featured on Part 2, Mastering Disruption in the Digital World of Media and Entertainment. Be sure to give us a call towards the second part of the show and ask any questions you may have surrounding tonight's featured topic. We would love to have you involved. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your input. We want to hear if you have questions. So be sure to tune in with us later on. You can do so by enjoying the conversation by calling us at 323-473-3100. Also, be sure to follow us, like us, engage us, and connect with us on our social media channels at Pitch Live to Win via Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and also YouTube. At this time, I would like to introduce you to our wonderful guest, who I have the privilege of having to come back for the second time. I appreciate them being able to come back and do a part 2, because part 1, our time just flew by so fast, y'all, that I'm so thankful that you decided to come back and do a part 2 so we can continue the conversation. There's a lot of information and content that I think we're going to cover tonight that we didn't get a chance to finish the first time, but that's so very valuable around the subject topic, okay? But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and give our audience a quick recap of who you guys are so that it can become familiar. And for those of you who might be tuning in for the first time around this topic, I want to go ahead and let you know who we have in the studio. First, I'd like to introduce my boy Carl Dawson. By the way, before I go any further, I failed to mention that all the music that you are hearing here on Pitch Live to Win has been produced by our very own Carl Dawson. Thank you, Carl, for letting us groove to your music.
No problem.
So let me introduce you guys to Carl Dawson, aka Clockwise. Carl Dawson is a music producer and IT technician for well over 20 years. Born in San Francisco and raised here in Los Angeles, he was destined to be a part of the music industry due to his family ties and entertainment, and he also has a background in the world of technology. Helping those that have been stagnated in the technical world of computers and network, Carl has a passion for both realizing that both entities go hand in hand. He is unapologetically gifted, y'all. Thanks, Carl, for being here.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Next to Carl, we have our very own Charles Hollis. Hi, Charles.
Hi.
Charles Hollis is a founder of Digital Insight. He is a digital strategist, product designer, and cross-platform storyteller with an interdisciplinary background in web, mobile, entertainment, and marketing. Charles has written, directed, and produced short films distributed internationally on networks such as Sprint TV and Comedy Central. Through his courses and workshops at USC, UCLA, and Fox Entertainment, Charles has helped writers and filmmakers explore creative ways to extend narratives across digital formats and platforms. Wow. Thank you for coming, Charles.
Thanks for having me.
And finally, next is one of my wonderful guests in the house, y'all. I have Craig Mitchell. Craig Mitchell Sherman serves as the Administrative Vice President of the ASO and double majors in Business and Theater at Los Angeles Southwest College. His focus is to enhance the quality of academia for all students and to thrive as a staple in the business and entertainment world. He has done major and minor work on stage and film and is a successful musician in the religious world. His love and work in the theater and music departments is ongoing, but his love and passion is community work. He is the theater and music department. He is a successful pastor of 2 churches and partners with other prominent nonprofits on a number of major community activities that feed, clothe, put smiles on the faces of an average of 300 to 400 children per event. That is so awesome. Mr. Mitchell's goal for Southwest College is to make the invisible voice of the student visible. How wonderful. Thank you so much for coming, Craig.
You're reading that. I was like, that's me?
This is totally you. So, we're going to get into part 2 of Mastering Disruption in the Digital World of Media and Entertainment Industries. And again, like we were talking about before we even started the show, I've did quite a bit of research on this topic. And there's just so much to cover that I really think that you probably need more than 2 shows to do so, but we're not going to do that to our audience. We're going to wrap it up with part 2 today. So what I want to do is a quick recap, everybody, of what we talked about the first time on the first show when we talked about the disruptive models in music, how artists are, or your top artists, how they are affected with the disruption with the digital technologies that are actually, it might be harmful for them, but it's a gain, right, for those who are trying to make it in the music world, right? And we also talked about how the audience engages with content, basically using digital technologies now, and how it's affected the traditional business models within the media and entertainment industries. Correct?
Correct.
So, and Carl, you got so deep with us last time. Can you just real quick? I have to share this again with you guys. Can you share with us real quick what you shared the first time about the heart in the
well, basically all I was saying was that majority of the things that people create that we use today is based around the human being, how the human being is built. Computers are one of the tools that we have that really mimic a human being, as far as the heart, the wires that represent the veins, the memory, the hard drive, you name it. I mean, so the car, even vehicles have the same, scenario, and you could pretty much pick a lot of technology and kind of match it up with a human being and say, okay, a lot of the ideas come from how we built. Now, even more, because now you have to be careful about catching viruses. Anything that has a chip in it, smart televisions, refrigerators, even to the car stereos that have Bluetooth and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Stuff like that can also be corrupted.
Yeah.
We didn't have to worry about those things when we had records and tapes.
Right?
You know what I mean? So, for the most part, as time goes on, the only way it could get better is for cooperation.
Cooperation, what do you mean by that?
Cooperation from the people, the consumers.
Okay.
You give the consumers, a little bit, they're going to take a lot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because we live in an unhonest world, so basically you could have all the money in your pocket, but you still going to find a way to get it for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
crazy.
Until you can get that thought process out of your head and want to be fair, because you have to put yourself in this position, who you taking from, is the only way you'll learn how to respect another person.
Okay.
So
see, that leads me into a question that I need you to expound on. And by you being, both into IT and music, I want to talk a little bit about the cybersecurity with technology. My question is with the customer, consumption patterns, like you were saying, they get greedy, right? It's constantly changing. How does the industries for media, both media and entertainment, how are they able to have their finger wrapped around cybersecurity? Like, how will they be able to get a grip, or you know what I'm trying to say, around that problem? Because I know that recently, I think it was Sony. Was it Sony?
Yes.
That had that huge issue, and they were trying to say it was coming from China. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, as far as security is concerned, security can always be breached. Any technology, anything that a human being can create can also have a flip side to it. That's just the way things are. There's nothing really secure. Just like really in life, there's nothing really for free. Even though you advertise it for free, there's always something attached to it. Same with cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is just a preventative tool.
Okay.
But it's not an actual tool that can stop.
So my Mackie and the software we get to protect my computer.
Yeah, basically, and I tell people, well, for instance, antivirus programs. Everybody think when you install an antivirus program on your computer that it's going to stop you from catching a virus.
Okay.
That's not the case. Antivirus are actually removal tools. So if you are surfing the web and you have a website that's not encrypted for people to attach certain files to their website, a lot of the viruses come through the back door, so you won't even know that you would have a virus on your computer until you start seeing the mousey jump or the programs.
Right, I've had that happen.
The programs not start automatically.
Okay.
And you start just seeing different types of issues with your computer.
Okay.
So if you're not trained to scan your computer when you get off the net, you tend to have some infections in your computer. Now,
but how? Not to cut you off, Carl, but how? I guess what I'm looking at too, or what I would like to know, is the cybersecurity around the media and entertainment industries, right? Because right now you're explaining to us about what can happen as like right now I'm on my laptop. So even if I'm not even on the internet, right, the fact that connected to a Wi-Fi or hotspot or something like that, a hacker could still kind of chime in the back way.
Oh yeah, because networks like when you go to Starbucks, McDonald's, anywhere they have an open network, you got to realize that you're on a network. So whatever one person is doing, if they're doing something they're not supposed to do, everybody else will get affected because it's a network.
Okay.
So if you have your own network, like one of the mobile Wi-Fi devices, hotspots, you don't have to worry about that, because now they're gonna run into, they'll see your signal, but they'll run into one to log in as a pass, the username and password,
Okay.
things of
That
that
just
nature.
takes too long to try to figure out, right?
Right. So, like I say, things for free, you gotta really,
Got
really be careful about the things for free. I'm not
Okay.
trying to down Microsoft, but this Windows 10 thing is not the
Oh,
right
wow.
answer.
Okay.
Do you think they can steal music through Wi-Fi?
Oh yeah.
They can steal like your songs, or
Wow.
so how do you protect that?
Right.
You can't.
I
You
think
can't.
that's the least of your worries, though.
Like,
You
But-
can't.
Stealing
The-
your
unless
songs.
you
In order-
Jay-Z or something, you know.
In order to really protect your songs, you have to keep your computer that you use for your music off the net. You have to have a computer for the net where you just do your business as far as the surfing, uploading, downloading. But the computer that you actually use for your music and your recording don't have the net on it, because even in if you think about it, when we had 56K, you rarely thought about viruses and spyware. They had them, but the network was too slow for it to come through. As we progressed and got faster internet, made
Okay.
the viruses more faster. So everybody wants fast, but not really understanding you could make things a lot worse going fast.
Okay, so what about cybersecurity for like our iTunes then? Because, or like I was saying, Sony, how did Sony get hacked?
Sony can get hacked. Only somebody has to be on the inside to know exactly.
Wow.
And
So you
that's-
gotta watch out for the people, the employees.
That's what I mean
on
about
the inside.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the honesty part.
So they bring people down.
And when you work at establishments like that, you do sign a clause stating that you will not disclose the business part to another business, or to your family and stuff of that nature, because it's crucial data.
Okay.
And then sometimes the web servers themselves may be vulnerable to certain attacks. So there was
Okay.
like the Heartbleed vulnerability from a year or two ago. And like a lot of different web servers had that, and that would enable somebody from the outside to get in
What is the
without
Heartbleed?
someone on the inside.
Was that
And so it's an exploit. So when you look at a web page, it comes from a web server.
Uh-huh.
And so that piece of software could have been created with a
backdoor?
slight problem
Okay.
that other people could use
Okay.
to get it to gain access to it. And once they're into the network, then they can access other computers in it. So
Wow.
you can access it from the outside without even having somebody on the inside helping you.
They're called worms.
Yeah.
So everybody got caught up with Ashley Madison,
Yeah, well, I mean, they could anything connected to the internet can be hacked. That's how they get these celebrity pictures.
Right.
You know,
Oh
a
yeah.
lot
I
of
remember that was a big deal not too long ago with was it Amber Rose or
Everybody.
everybody?
A
It
lot
was
of-
quite
a
a
lot
few
of
people.
people,
That
yeah.
was
Quite a
about
few people.
But my question is, can they still, is that connected to like bootleg movies as well? How movies get ripped from other networks?
That's another inside job. Most of the
Oh, my goodness.
okay, put it this way, it's two
Inside
two
man.
jobs. The first job would be the person that has a connection with someone in the movie industry to either give them a DVD screener or the property of, which is a DVD that only people would come and screen the movie and give their judgment on. They used to give DVDs to people to go enjoy it at their homes, but when the internet came, that's when people started to upload the movies and disperse them to people to download and things of that nature. So
through BitTorrents, right?
Yeah, through BitTorrents. It all started through that. That was a fast way to get it, but it all started through zip file.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You zip the movie as tight as you can, and then you could sit it on a server, kind of like Rapid Share, something like that, Mega Upload, which is closed now because they got caught, having illegal content. So you can there's all kinds of ways you can do things. Just like there's all kinds of ways you can rip movies like Netflix. If you have a program that can record just a picture,
Screen, yeah.
they call
Oh
it
my
screen
God.
recorders.
Is that how they get in these bootleg movies? Because I be wondering like how. I mean, as soon as a movie come out, you go to the grocery store, they sitting right there in the parking
Right
lot,
there, yeah.
ready to
In the trunk somewhere.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, so I mean, you have these tools that people create in order to get certain things. So like I said, you're not really secure these days because
Okay.
you're gonna have it shows balance.
Okay.
A lot of people had a idea of, okay, when they thought about the internet, they thought about corrupting the internet, and then they had they built a department to to counteract against them.
Okay.
So it was kind of like they had, if I want to create something and I want people to think that we have control over it, I'm going to have a department that creates it, and a department that can counteract what I created.
Okay.
And then I'll be in the middle, and I'll name 2 different companies, but they're all under one umbrella. And I'm making money from both of these companies. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is the people don't know. So just say Norton and Microsoft. Microsoft makes the software. Norton helps the software be protected.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying? So without one or the other, you're vulnerable.
That kind of reminds me of our government, so to speak. I mean, I don't want to get sidetracked, but I'm just thinking about how we train our soldiers, and from what going back to 9/11, how we trained, killers, if you will. But I don't want to get off into that. But I'm just thinking about how you have to train. You who you train can also turn around and be your enemy. You know what I'm saying? So with this being said, since we're talking about this, let me ask you guys about digital, right? Do you think it's a curse or a blessing?
I mean, there are good and bad. There's good and bad to everything. So
like people.
Yeah, like people. You have there's a good way of using certain products, and then someone takes it and uses it for bad, for evil purposes. So just as well as like you said, you can have someone coming in and say, like, hey, let's make the internet. You had a black man who invented the search engine, so that was a good thing, right? Then you have some people say, hey, how about we just bring out a bunch of pornography and just blast it on the internet. Now we have the not so good side. Well, or for some people it might be good for them,
Okay.
So I think going digital helps. It hurts in certain areas, maybe in the music department, because when you were analog, as we talked about last week, the analog had more warmth to it. It had a different sound. There are people who prefer an acoustic guitar or an acoustic piano over the electric, because you don't get the authenticity from an electric instrument. The electric instrument is something is technology that mimics something that's authentic, but it's not. You won't get that real sound, that grit from certain instruments. So they're good and bad. I think we have to take advantage of it when it's good for us.
Okay.
And then we sometimes you got to go back to the old-fashioned ways. Again,
that's what Carl was talking about last time.
Yeah.
What about in filmmaking, Charles?
Yeah, in terms of video, I think it depends on what side of the table you're on. So if you're like a cable company, it's definitely a curse, because a lot of people are cutting the cord and going with Netflix and Hulu and other streaming services.
Okay.
So if you're a streaming service, it's great. If you're a content producer, it's great, because before, if you wanted to shoot a television series, your options for getting that distributed were limited. But now essentially all these other companies are looking for content, because when Netflix creates an original series, that gets them more subscribers. So it's not like the advertising model.
Big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
It's less about the advertising model on TV and more about the subscription model that Netflix and Hulu use to make money.
Who wins the battle between the cable company and Amazon?
Good question.
Or Netflix, or like WWE is on cable, but then when they had WWE.com, where you can watch everything live. Now there are two different
right. So there's the cable companies that provide the connectivity to the consumer. It's probably most difficult for them, because if you're a cable channel like HBO or TNT or some other channel, you can have your content online as well. So with HBO, you can get HBO through a cable company, but you can also get it digitally. You could pay a certain amount and you just have HBO content on demand, see whatever you want to, whenever. And so, yeah.
And see, that's going to take me into a question that I want to pose to the panel. I'm glad you're bringing that up. But before I go into that question, I want to go ahead and just take a quick commercial break. And so don't lose your train of thought, everybody on the panel, because it's going to tap right into the next question that I have. But in the meantime, you guys don't change that tune. We'll be right back and enjoy music by Carl Dawson. Be right back. Hi, this is Shelon Douglas, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, to demo your startup on air with a Pitch Live to Win syndicated digital broadcasting show. Join us as we share real conversations from real industry experts within the tech, education, media, and entertainment industries for your chance to win opportunities that will gain you access to resources, exposure, and capital. So remember to tune in to the Pitch Live Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality broadcast handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Rhonda Ray, inviting you to join us every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, for Hot Chicks Live. Join us as we discuss the latest fashion, entertainment, sports, and more. So don't forget to tune in to Hot Chicks Live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You have reached Pitch Live, here streaming live at latalklive.com. I'm your host, Shelon Douglas, and we're here featuring our special topic on part 2 of mastering disruption in the digital world of the media and entertainment industries. And we're going to continue to pick up where we left off prior to our break for commercial. And again, I told you don't forget the train of thought, y'all. I know y'all was having a little conversation going on here in the studio. But Charles, you had brought up the fact that HBO, when Craig was talking about cable versus digital streaming technologies, right? So you was explaining to us about how HBO still has their network on the cable networks, right, channel, and then you still have HBO on demand. So that really ties into my next question, and I wanted to ask, and this is for the panel, because this is for not just film, but for music and radio as well. With the media and entertainment traditional business models, I understand that most of the monies are made through advertising revenue models, right? So I want to ask, do you guys think that with the media and entertainment industries, should they invest in creating their own digital technology applications, such as, if you will, a mobile app, or the on-demand feature? I do see that you see more and more popping up, because I like HBO on demand, because my schedule is so hectic that I have I forgot what it is, not a one of the cable channels. I can't even think of the service provider, but I'm not at home a lot to watch some of my favorite shows on TV. But also at the same time, you know, when I do get a chance to sit and breathe, then I can just whip out my iPad or my tablet or whatnot and go to HBO Demand and look at some of these shows. But then some of the other shows that I like are not on HBO. So I would like for everybody's input. Like, do you think that with digital technologies disrupting or evolving our industries, let me just say that, do you feel that now these traditional business models, they should invest, they should go ahead and create their own app? What's your take on that?
I think in some cases it makes sense, like with HBO, because they have a lot of really well produced content.
Okay.
Other networks might other companies might choose to like do licensing deals with some of the existing streaming companies. For example, you know, you have, you know, people from a network or a production company may sit with Netflix and say, you know, we'll let you stream our television series for X amount of dollars. So that way people can use the Netflix app, which many people already have, to access that content.
Okay.
And the company's going to get paid for that through the licensing deal with Netflix or Hulu.
Okay. What about Craig? What about radio?
Well, I feel that there are different apps that are going to be, apps are constantly being created to make our lives easier. From the perspective of radio, we already have Pandora and so many other different applications to where it's almost going to be a detriment for live radio, for radio stations as a whole, because everything is on demand, you know. So I think that's the way to go. The digital world has pretty much taken over and taken jobs away from DJs, you know, VJs, and even in the church world, you know, where you will have a live band, 5 pieces, and we're playing music. There are some places now you get a really good track together. There's a Facebook page out there where they're making gospel tracks to where you probably only need one guy. One guy, and the rest of the tracks are being played by someone who already created them, and you just use technology to EQ. They're EQing from their iPads and from their iPhones. And so with the emergence of apps for radio, we're almost gonna, just like as we are now, we're online.
Do you see traditional broadcasting going away? I mean, I know people listen to it in their cars, but
I do. And see, this is where we're going to see it fade even more, because with cars becoming more digital.
That's right.
Their cars now have an Android system inside of the car.
It's crazy.
We're pretty much not even going to be listening to some of the radio stations anymore. That's why they're being bought out. KTYM. I had my show on KTYM twice for about 3 years. And now they were sold to the Catholic Church, and then they sold it to another company, and it's no more, because people are now listening to radio through their phones, iHeart or you know.
I know I do, not to cut you off, but every time I get in my car, I literally go to either Pandora or Spotify.
Because we get to pick whatever we want now.
Everybody
wants.
Is that how the iHeartRadio app works? Or is that radio?
I think
that's streaming radio.
It's streaming radio, but you get to choose. You have more of a variety now. You know, when we were just listening to 92.3 or 103.2, 102.3 or whatever, we were subject to whatever was on at that time. Now we have so many choices with internet radio that I believe at some point in our cars we won't even be tuning in to some of these analog stations.
And see what you're saying. So basically, when I hear you talking, you're really describing the omni-channel, what we call in the tech world an omni-channel experience, right? And an omni-channel experience is the way that consumers, just so the audience will know, the way that the consumers choose to engage on whatever device at whatever whichever way they choose and prefer, right? Their preference. So, and we've gone from multi-channel to the omni-channel experience, and that's just how quickly technology is evolving all of our worlds, right? Do you see TV being around eventually, like the actual television networks, or do you see more of the applications taking place with digital streaming with content?
I think it'll be a while before TV goes away entirely,
Okay.
but
you do think it's gonna go away?
Focus, I think it's going to go away at some point. Yeah, certainly the focus is definitely shifting to getting your content on demand, and people aren't really watching television commercials anymore, and yet there's still television advertising. So I think at some point, advertisers are going to realize that their dollars are going to be better spent elsewhere.
Okay.
And then you'll see an even more dramatic impact to
And isn't that how
television.
TVs get TV? I mean, I'm asking because I really want to know. But how do TV networks get paid? Don't they get paid off of commercials and advertisers?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So that's a real big problem.
Absolutely.
I think the goal is to direct us to seeing more of the advertising. So I believe their main focus are the things that they cannot put on demand, like a sports show, sports a game,
news.
a Laker game, or news. You can't, a Laker game on demand. You record it, but watching it live is nothing better.
That's crazy. Why is that different?
Because like a football game, you want to watch it right then, right there.
I forgot I'm around a table with all men. I'm sorry, but continue on. I'm sorry.
So it's going to work, but I think there's a lot of money to be made. Then there's an opportunity for people who are creating apps, because with all of these issues that there's an issue for one, it's an opportunity for somebody else.
So now you just described innovation. There you have it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what innovative is all about. Is we are talking about disruptive business models, right? Or technology disrupting the media and entertainment industries. But at the same time, is it really is it a bad thing to look at, or is it an opportunity to look at, right? Because these digital technologies have made opportunities for others. That, like when we're talking about the Netflix and the Pandoras and the iTunes, but it's made opportunities for others in the tech world. Right?
I think if you want to answer if it's disruptive or if it's bad or good, it's only bad if you don't like competition.
Got you.
Good.
Competition is what makes everything bad.
Everybody
wants to be the first one and the only one.
Okay.
But
it also drives innovation.
Yeah,
that's right.
Newer, more exciting products.
Right, but
content.
a lot of people don't want to take it because it makes them work harder. They already work hard to get it out there, but now you got to step your game up. That's just too much energy. People want to get to a point where they can just relax and see their, live off the fruits of their labor a little while without somebody coming being disruptive.
Trying to take them off the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
That's what's happening with theater. I read today that they're doing this 4DX, in which people are, it's not just 3D, but they're giving you the air, the sense of smell, the chairs moving, because people aren't going to the theaters anymore, and so they're trying to change the way that your experience now at the movies, or even on stage with a live play. I saw that they have technology where they're creating characters through generating through technology, CGI, or like that Coachella when they had Tupac rapping with
the hologram.
The hologram.
Yeah.
That's changing the way we go to see a play.
Yeah, that's right.
You almost can do a play with old characters or with fictional characters now, and you'll get a 3D image. And because people are taking the opportunity to say, hey, there's money to be made by, if they don't want to go to the movies, they can come to a theater play and get almost the same experience.
That's great. When you just brought up Tupac,
right?
Did you guys hear about? Didn't they do like a tour with his hologram?
Yeah.
The Tupac hologram tour.
it was surreal.
Yeah, Las Vegas is about to have a show where it's going to have a lot of holograms.
That's crazy.
And they're going to bring back people like Elvis and Michael Jackson
Wow.
and Tupac, and they're just trying to get all the bits and pieces together. But that plan has already been in the books for a minute. They just haven't implemented it yet. But I mean, to tell you the truth, now that's disruptive because of the fact it touches certain people the wrong way.
What you mean?
Some
being scary?
No, well, being sensitive. You got to think
I don't
about,
know if I want to go see a hologram of Tupac.
Right, and that brings up a lot of issues with people that know him personally.
Yeah,
his family.
Okay.
You know, people that looked at him as.
Do they have to get their permission to do that?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to, because his image, his image, his name, all of that is worth something, and they own that
brand.
There it is. So that, to answer your question, that to me is disruptive.
Okay.
A lot of things that we create can be very disrespectful, and even though we have a good intention in being innovative and being creative, sometimes it can go overboard to where it can actually harm someone, to feelings, the way they think, the way they perceive things, because
wow,
that
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about being responsible when you're a creator, like music.
True.
People don't take responsibility in the music that's being played today. They want to leave it up to the parents and the listeners, and they don't believe that music can drive you to do things that you're not supposed to do without even taking drugs. Because if you nurture the mood that you're in, eventually you're going to play that mood out.
Right.
Music can hypnotize you. It can educate you. It's such
it can take you back to moments that you wish you could forget about.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, I say that because that has happened to where I hear certain artists. I'm like, turn the stage straight. I don't want to hear that. But it puts me right back, like I'm reliving those moments. So to a hologram, is close to, what is that considered, 4D?
That would,
I think that's 4D. No, that's not 3D.
Yeah, it is.
No, I think 3D is when it's virtual reality. A hologram, which is what is that, illuminating from illuminating out? I think
it's a more realistic 3D.
Realistic 3D?
Yeah.
Let me look that up.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You're in the music industry. There's software, and I remember I was in the studio and I was singing a song and I wasn't really hitting the notes like I thought I should. But there's a software that made me sound like Luther Vandross.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, where you have singers who basically technology right now makes the worst singer the best, or they just use auto-tune?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. The reason why those tools been created is because they took music out of the schools.
Yeah.
Nobody's trained, unless you have money to pay for the lessons. Nobody's really training the talent in the inner city and nurturing their talents. So, why not create a software to make? It's almost like looking at 3D. It ain't real, but it's there. Her voice ain't real, but it's there. But if it makes you, the whole point in having Melodyne and having these different types of T-Pain effects. It's just to get the listener to fall in love with the music, regardless if they can sing or not. Now, where you're going to critique is when they got to perform it.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a bad experience.
Okay.
But as soon as you go back to the club and they throw that record on and it sounds right, you're going to be hypnotized to like it again.
But can't you apply the same filters to a live performance too?
You can if you know how to perform. There's a certain way you have to perform in order for people to perceive it, and it sticks in your mind and say that was the best performance I have ever seen in my life. You don't really get that no more because there's no creativity. It's a bunch of walking back and forth and watching a whole bunch of people on stage. Or you just get a band that just stays right there and the lead singer just stays there and does her thing. Back in the day, you had Earth, Wind and Fire. They had costumes. They had things coming down out of the ceiling.
Like
they
a dance moves and stuff.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They gave you a show, almost like going to the movies and seeing and interacting. If you can get the people to interact in your concerts, you'll have your audience walk away and say that was the best concert I've ever been to. You don't have interaction in concerts. Everybody's just standing there like zombies with their cell phones, just taking pictures,
That's
or streaming it.
Right.
That's not really feeling music. You know what I mean? You have to be taught how to listen to music. And for example, remember when you growing up, how your parents used to say, "Come here, boy, come here, sit down, listen to this."
Yeah.
And he makes you. He say, "What do you hear in this?" And you say, singing. No. What do you hear in this? What is making this song? He picks out certain instruments that carries the song. Now, you take away all one element while the song is playing. You take away one element at a time.
Notice the difference.
It just becomes noise.
Yeah.
So when you go to the club, you're not gonna just rock to bass. You're gonna say something's missing. Now, if you put bass, drums, keyboards, some horns, you still gonna think something's missing. Your vocals is an instrument. You know what I mean? So that's why keeping in tune, learning vibrato, learning how to breathe when you're singing and stuff. All of that is necessary.
So we won't need the auto tune.
You don't need the
it
auto
helps
tune.
a whole lot of people.
Yeah. It does.
Because some of the artists that you hear, I mean, and this is no offense, I'm not saying this artist can't sing, but when listening to you right now, I was thinking about Beyonce. Like, she's not, she has a voice, but to me, I feel that her music is more commercialized. Okay, like you're talking about talent, we're talking about branding. So if you go listen to Beyonce from when she first started singing to listening to her music now, it is a complete night and day difference. And so, but she's a great performer. Okay, and then she's great talent. So when you look at and in fact they were talking about Beyonce on a radio station this morning about what some of these people want to be for Halloween, and I'm like,
KJLH.
You know what I'm saying? So and speaking about a brand, I want to go into another question. This is posed for the panel, and that is in any industry, being a brand is important, right? Even in any business model that you have, period. All right. And it's important so that you can connect with your audience. And each industry is presented with a distinct set of their own issues and challenges. While marketers look for new ways to engage with their consumers, right? Media companies need to replace the loss of the revenue streams, which we were talking about earlier. They have to come up with something innovative, right? And partner up with their competitors versus competing.
Right.
Branded content is such a big part of the answer for both. So can you guys describe what is considered branded? We talk about being a brand. We're talking about how these traditional models, they need to become more innovative and get on a bus with this technology, right? But what is considered branded, especially we're talking about talent, we're talking about tools to help the voices, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let y'all answer, but I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah, in terms of video and TV and film, branded content is essentially taking a brand and creating a story around it. So in the early 2000s, BMW worked with like well-known directors and actors and created a series of short films starring a guy who drives a BMW and gets into all sorts of, trouble, and it's kind of like The Transporter, that movie The Transporter.
Yeah, I love that movie.
It was like that. So they did a series of short films, and rather than spend that money in television commercials and billboards, they created these films, put them out on the internet, and it was hugely successful in terms of selling more cars. There's also one with Nicole Kidman. There's a short film that Chanel produced or funded.
Okay.
And it's her, and it's a story, and it's a content. It's content, and it's about the Chanel brand.
Okay.
It's not about the Chanel brand, but that brand is seen prominently in the video. So that's one example of branded content.
So the storytelling, right, which doing that effectively embeds a mark with the consumer.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah.
And I think that's for any business. If we know how to tell a story, we're still like, think about as kids. We love hearing stories, right? Or, Mommy, will you please read me a bedtime story before I go to bed? We're still that same way as adults, right? We're just a lot older.
Right.
I wanted a bedtime story last night.
What?
I didn't even get it.
What kind of bedtime story you?
Couldn't get no sleep.
Oh my goodness.
I think branding is a lot more difficult today than it used to be, because you have the expectation of becoming a brand is much wider now than it used to be back in the day. Back in the day, all you had to have was A, B, and C, in order to brand it and then get it out there to the masses. But now you got to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G before you even get it out there to have funding behind you.
Well, nowadays, because of technologies, anybody can become a brand overnight, right? Because one of the things I want to be clear is that a brand is not what you say it is.
Right.
A brand is what the consumers say that
Exactly.
it is. So you can have a good brand or a bad brand.
Right.
It can move quickly. I mean, with your song, with your short film, with anything, if you put it out there, and with technology, the way the internet is, once it's out there, millions and millions of people see it. It's just a matter of now everyone approving that this is the it thing. This is the new thing.
Well, the reason why I said that was because in the music industry, you used to only just needed a demo,
right?
Yeah,
and some pictures. Now they want you to have a video, followers,
yeah,
your own production. They don't want to put no money into recording unless your first album. You got to put all your work in, and then they got to hear what you can do.
Yeah.
And then they'll put money behind you, and then when you record another album, then that's when you start meeting the producers and stuff in the industry. And so it takes a lot more work in the music industry in order to get branded, really, because I mean, technically we are all brands. My first name and last name is a brand. But what can I do for someone else to appreciate who I am? That's all. That's basically what it is. So in order to get these record companies to appreciate what I do, I'm going to have to abide by their rules on what they expect from me to become a brand. And when you start putting the power in someone else's hands, they can make you or break you. But for independent artists, that's a different story. You don't have to take much to brand yourself. You just have to do the necessary steps and get out there and do as much as you can to let all your listeners and people that want to follow you.
Is that why the music industry is starting to partner up with a lot of startups?
Well, a lot of the industry they've been on top for so long. They are really think tanks. So if it's not working, they're going to. The smartest thing to do is to team up with what's working. If I had a company for so long and it was a family heir, and it was passed down to me, and all of a sudden when I took over, it started backsliding on the stock market, and people stop investing and people stop wanting to buy the product. I'm going to see who's really on top and try to network with them, maybe either come up with a new brand or buy into their brand, and really talk more control. That's the only reason why the industry is trying to be in cahoots with these smaller companies, because they're losing their control.
Right.
And they're starting to see these smaller companies are really for the people. And a lot of people, ever since the internet has been around, a lot of people have been more educated on how the record industry is doing their business.
Right.
And
that's why we've always seen those stories or movies with like recently with NWA. Oh my gosh, I love that movie, y'all. But the story behind how a lot of these artists getting ripped off, especially if you don't have business savvy knowledge and the skill set to know how to at that time or now how the music and entertainment industries work. I mean, both actors and actresses too have gotten beat by the way how you do business with the traditional marketplace within these industries, correct? And then before we leave too, because we're running out of time, but I was just thinking about something else you said. You see how quick this show's I told you more than 2 shows. I told you. But I was just thinking about one thing you said that stood out to me, which is true for any business, is now you can start a business, you can have a mom and pop shop or a physical existence, but if you don't have a digital presence that actually can hurt your business, even though you could be really good at what you do, you just don't have that digital branding. So
even if you don't have like even if you are primarily brick and mortar, you still need a website for people to know about. Yeah.
Right. The first thing that anybody does nowadays is what?
Check your website.
Google.
Right.
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
The first thing I Google, because I want to see what all comes up. All right. Do they have Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all these other things? And I hate that we are running out of time, because my next question I wanted to pose for the panel, maybe y'all can email me, but it was dealing with statistics and analytics and keeping up with all the data, that you need to, that these media and entertainment industries must control, or else how will they know how to spend their marketing dollars?
Right.
It's that Nielsen company that keeps the rating.
Is Nielsen still around?
Yes, and very rich.
They're still around.
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh.
They are, yeah.
Well, I know that that's a huge problem, because that affects the marketing dollars, especially with the evolving of the digital technologies. How are these media and entertainment industries gonna get a control of that when you have consumers from everywhere with this rapid technology on any type of device? How do you keep up with who's your true audience? Is it the African American community? Is it a Latino community? How do you know? Because that costs billions or millions, if not billions of dollars.
It all depends on how important you want to know that type of that type of information. If it really doesn't matter to you and you're doing well, then you're not going to spend that money to get that that paperwork sent to you, because you want to know who's your major market. It's a whole bunch of answers to that question, though.
I know that was a lot, right? That was a loaded question. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. But you know what? Maybe we'll do a part 3. Not next week, but I'm sure we'll be able to continue this conversation. And I want to thank our guests. I want to thank you so much for being able to come back and do a part 2 in massive disruption in the digital world.
Yes.
And before we go, how can our audience find you? Go, Craig. You go first.
You can find me on Facebook, Pastor Craig Mitchell Sherman. You can also find me. I'll be on the campus of Southwest in the ASO building, but you can just look me up on the Facebook, and you come by.
Digital presence, huh?
Yeah, I have a digital presence. Come to St. John Christian Assembly. I'll be there all the time.
Awesome. Charles.
Best place to find me is on LinkedIn. Charles Hollins. I'm on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
You could hear my music on SoundCloud. That would be Unlimited Potential /SoundCloud.
That's right. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again for tuning in to Pitch Live to Win. And we stream here every Tuesday on LA Talk Live from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific. And please, again, we need your support to bring more innovative programs and opportunities to our community right here in South Los Angeles, and also globally. We're going to be going globally next, y'all, right? That's why it's called Innovate Globally. But anyhow, make sure you tune in with us next week, Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific. I am your host, Shelon Douglas, known as your innovation strategist. Have a good night and stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.